Etched into clay nearly 4,000 years ago, the Sumerian Kings List does more than just record rulers. It rewrites history. It describes kings who reigned for centuries, civilizations that predated a great flood, and entire dynasties that have been erased from our mainstream timelines. Scholars have long called it mythology, a collection of fanciful stories. But what if it isn't? What if this ancient artifact holds a forbidden truth about our own origins? The most startling feature of the list is its description of reigns that defy all explanation. One king ruled for 900 years, another for 1,200. One is even said to have reigned for 28,000 years. Critics dismiss these numbers as purely symbolic, a way for ancient scribes to convey a king's importance, not his actual lifespan. Yet early Mesopotamian texts often blend myth with verifiable fact. This suggests the scribes weren't just inventing stories, but preserving memories far older, far stranger than modern archaeology is willing to acknowledge. Several versions of the Kings List describe advanced cities that existed before a global flood wiped them from the earth. Cities like Eridu and Bad Tibira were said to be centers of profound knowledge, bustling trade, and early engineering that shouldn't have been possible. After the flood, the list tells us that kingship descended from heaven again, and power shifted to new rulers and new cities. This raises a monumental question. Just how advanced were these lost, pre-flood civilizations? Were they primitive mud brick settlements or something far more sophisticated? The mystery deepens when we examine the tablets themselves. Archaeologists have found multiple fragments, but all of them have key sections missing. Entire dynasties seem to have been scratched out or are located on parts of the clay that have been broken off and lost. What's truly baffling is that some of these gaps occur in the exact same places across different versions of the list, copied centuries apart in different cities. Why were certain kings or periods of time erased so consistently? Was it accidental damage, or was someone deliberately removing specific rulers from the historical record? In recent years, the story has taken another turn. Newly uncovered tablets, some emerging from private collections, contain variations of the King's List with names, timelines, and events that have never been published. These alternative versions are often more detailed and far more controversial. They describe events and rulers that directly contradict the mainstream historical narrative, painting a picture of our ancient past that is almost unrecognizable. Their existence forces us to question which version of history is the true one. Perhaps the most provocative element is the recurring suggestion that the earliest rulers descended from the sky. Traditional scholars interpret this as a poetic metaphor for divine right, a common theme in ancient cultures. But these descriptions appear with startling consistency across countless Sumerian tablets, not just the King's List. Were the ancient scribes really just waxing poetic? Or were they struggling to describe beings and events that were completely beyond their understanding? Could they have been recording contact with something not of this world? While academics debate the text, the archaeological evidence they often avoid tells its own story. Excavations in the sun-scorched plains of ancient Sumer have revealed cities far older and more advanced than previously thought possible. We found evidence of complex irrigation systems that transformed the desert into fertile land. We see signs of early astronomical knowledge, with temples aligned to celestial events. and we see precise architectural planning that suggests a deep understanding of mathematics and engineering. These physical discoveries support the idea of an advanced precursor civilization, exactly the kind of civilization the King's List seems to be referencing. The structure of the list itself argues against it being a random collection of myths. It's organized too consistently. It records the succession of capital cities, details the transfers of power from one dynasty to the next, and notes key political events in a detailed chronological sequence. This logical framework feels less like a fantastical legend and more like a genuine historical chronicle, a structured account of a kingdom's rise and fall over millennia. And then there's the flood. The King's List clearly divides history into two distinct eras, the time before a cataclysmic flood and the time after. This isn't just a local Sumerian story. It matches the global flood myths found in dozens of separate, unconnected cultures all around the world, from the Americas to Australia. Perhaps the King's List isn't just a myth, but a preserved memory of a very real, world-altering event that reset human civilization and predates all written history. This brings us to the final unsettling question. What if the Sumerian Kings List is not exaggeration, but memory? A fragmented, time-worn record of civilizations that were older, more advanced, and far more mysterious than we are currently willing to accept? What if the impossible lifespans and celestial origins aren't metaphors, but the literal truth as the scribes understood it? The clay tablets survive, silent witnesses to a forgotten age. Their deepest secrets remain locked away in the gaps and the broken pieces, in the lines that have been deliberately erased. The forbidden truth is waiting to be pieced back together. If you're ready to uncover more history that has been hidden from view, subscribe to the True Story Files and tell us in the comments what you think the Sumerian Kings List truly reveals about our past.